What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. We coming through. Just gonna share a little information today. We're gonna talk about immigration. We're gonna talk about the demonization of blackness. This is what is the winning recipe for the enemy. And we got to talk about it just for a quick second. If you guys want to come on the YouTube, you can come up. If you guys want to come on the StreamYard, you can come up. And we'll have a little talk and we'll get out of here. All right? Just hold on a second. Go ahead and share the message. Press the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. You can press the YouTube button to subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Twitter at Michael Akiba Farad. You can follow me on Facebook at Michael Akiba Farad, or you can subscribe to Black is Not a Color. Waking Up the Original Family. That's where we'll be at. All right, y'all. So let's get into it here real quick. What I want to do here is I want to start off for a second. How's everybody doing? What's up? What's going on? I hope you're having a great morning. I hope you're having a great day. Whenever you're listening to this, it's all positive vibes. I love the righteous, Black first. Okay, but guess what? Righteousness. So we have a lot of talk out here in our universe. We got a lot of talk out here in this so-called metaverse, but we bring it into a reality. And what we're doing here is we understand there's a lot of talk, but we can't get swayed by ignorance. You know, when you have a lot of talk, you have a lot of noise, you have some information that is good, but then you have some information that is not smart. We want to follow the intelligent information. Otherwise, we're going to go down the same stupid tube that the ancestors went down. We get a lot of brothers and sisters out here that because they've been hurt and now they got an opportunity to hurt people. What I mean by hurt is we got a mainstream media that likes to demonize black people. You know, when it makes it seem like we're all thugs, just like Ice Cube said. They give us guns and drugs and then wonder why in the fuck we thugs. That's what they've done to black people. They want to demonize Chicago, the South Side, every major city. This is how we've been treated in the U.S. But now that we got all of these, now that black people are making a move, every time black folks make a move, immigration policy changes, because this is a tried and true method, to undermine the progress of Black America has been immigration policy. And that's ever since the enslavement process, direct chattel slavery was over. These are simple facts that you can research. So as we look at ourselves through a progression of time, we look at how the main opposition has treated Black American community, and even if you look at the Black world, they're going to use immigration policy. They're going to reward coons and traitors, and they're going to punish those who truly want the advancement of their community. Isn't that just natural? If you're trying to maintain oppression of a group of people, that's how you're going to do it. And so, but it backfires. It's backfiring now. For example, here, let me look at this here. Let's look at something. Hold on a second here. Share the screen. So, the local Luna's lease after the latest gunfire incident is terminated. Where is this at? In Atlanta. Now, Atlanta is a Black Mecca. But if we look at this here, there's a lot of Latino and Latin influx into the Atlanta area. So, popular Midtown Atlanta restaurant Local Luna was asked to cease operations following a weekend shooting that damaged multiple vehicles and sent diners running for cover. Cell phone video captured chaos outside the Amsterdam Avenue restaurant Sunday night as nearly 24 gunshots were fired in the parking lot. The video, shared by ATL Uncensored on Twitter, shows people screaming and ducking behind cars. A short time later, one person was shot at a gas station on Piedmont Avenue, about a mile north of Local Luna. Atlanta police said they believe the two incidents are connected. Investigators are gathering suspect information at this time and are working to determine the circumstances surrounding the incident. A police spokesperson said in a statement, "The investigation continues." It was at least the third incident of gun violence at Local Luna in the past year, coming 3 months after a shooting in the parking lot that claimed a man's life. On Monday, the property group that operates the Amsterdam Walk retail district terminated the Latin restaurant's lease. "We have worked with the owners of Local Luna in good faith regarding prior incidences at their restaurant," said Stacy Shupp, marketing director for Atlanta-based Halperin Enterprises. "Unfortunately, the unlawful activities has continued." Unlawful activities. Wow. Interesting. According to police report released Tuesday, the shooting started inside the restaurant about 10:30 p.m. Sunday. Witnesses reported hearing at least 2 shots inside and more than 20 in the parking lot. A manager said he saw two women fighting inside the restaurant before the shooting started, according to the report. Other witnesses described at least two male shooters, including one with what appeared to be an assault rifle. Multiple vehicles were damaged by the gunfire, but no one was reported injured, police said. The vehicle, a Honda Accord, which was riddled with 32 bullets. About 10:50 p.m., a man was found shot in the leg at a BP station on Piedmont Avenue. He told police he drove away from local Luna after his BMW took gunfire and he stopped at the gas station to change a flat tire. At that point, a red Dodge Durango pulled up beside him and someone opened fire, according to the report. The victim was stable when he was taken to a hospital. Last year, Atlanta police investigated two other shootings at the local Luna. A woman was shot in the foot in March while she was dining outside. She told police she heard a single shot before realizing she was injured, and she was unaware of any fights or arguments in the area at the time. In October, a man was shot and killed after discovering a teenage suspect leaning against his sports car in the parking lot. Authorities have accused 18-year-old Brian Calderon. 18-year-old Brian Calderon, Betancourt, of killing 23-year-old Andres Munoz. Is this Latin on Latin? Is this Latin on Latin crime? Do we hear that term anywhere? Do we hear that term? Do we hear that term? There you go. What's this? And now when you hear Atlanta shooting, now look at this. You hear Atlanta shooting, what are you thinking about? A lot of times you hear Atlanta shooting and you don't think about this. Who did 18-year-old Brian Calderon kill? Andres Munoz killed this man. Andres Munoz shot to death for an argument about cars. Andres Munoz was shot outside a bar. Look how they protect each other. This is a Hispanic, Mundo Hispanico. A petty argument about cars outside a bar in Georgia in the middle of the night over a petty argument. Local Luna bar. So they named it. The argument began. The other young man. See, they don't name him. the kind of stuff that, because when you hear Atlanta, you think of black. Let's look at this here. I just want to go do a little bit of this here. So it's the same article. All right, let's look at it. Okay. Let's look at this shooting. Chelsea Prince. All right, let's look at the this video here. You know what? I don't know about this thinking head.
Now, somebody posted a video on ATL Uncensored.
Getting down, get down!
You hear that? Get down. And Channel 2's Darren Moore's live right now in Northeast Atlanta, where that shooting happened. Darren, police told you one person was shot, right?
You're right about that, Fred. That person was hit in the leg. He will survive. But you got to check out this car, Fred. This car was actually in the line of fire. Now, I went around this car and counted 31 bullet holes. Now, police believe there was a shootout between two groups, and someone recorded that chaos. Get down! Overnight, a barrage of gunfire had people running for their lives outside a local restaurant.
Is this Hispanic on Hispanic crime? Is this Latin on Latin crime?
The video on ATL Uncensored. Get down! Isabel, do not move. Atlanta police said several cars and a truck sped off from the parking lot. One of those cars ended up at the BP.
Now we need to understand something. Look at this here. This is their neighborhood.
Ended up at the BP gas station a mile and a half away. Off from the parking lot.
Look at that. They're advertising. This is their neighborhood. Northeast Atlanta. That's where this is at. And we just need to understand that other communities have it. I showed this before and I'll show it again. I'll show this before and I'll show this again. This is in Puerto Rico. This is what's happening in Puerto Rico. This kind of stuff. It's a hood. So I just, but everybody's talking about Chicago. People getting slaughtered everywhere. But everybody wants to talk about Chicago. Everybody wants to talk about black people. You know what I'm saying? When black folks have our issues that we got to deal with. We get demonized. Blanket statements that demonize black folks for being, some of the most ignorant of our people. This is what's going on. So now when we get on, this is interesting. When we get on.
Get out. What you guys doing? Get out. What you guys doing? What's wrong with you?
I mean, when we get on, black people just get on a elevator. We get assaulted.
Get out.
Get out.
Yo, stop.
Get out.
What you guys doing? Get out. What you guys doing? What's wrong with you?
Don't touch me.
Don't you have
Do not touch me.
Get out.
Do not touch me.
Get out. I'm not touching you. Oh, did you just hit me? Did you just hit me?
You just hit me.
You just hit me? You too?
Black Lives Matter.
Yo, this is racist. Wow.
Get out. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives
Black
Matter.
Lives Matter.
Stop. Yo, stop recording. I don't know you. Yo, you need to stop.
Get out.
No, I'm not getting out. I was
Yes, you are.
See, we need to understand this kind of behavior This is as a result of media blanket stereotypical demonization of black people when every other community has the same or similar incidents. This is to redirect blame away from this country and its policies. America have trash policy. That's the bottom line. White supremacy, demonizing black people is a trash policy. This is what's going on. You know, I have Facebook friends. I have people that they'll host a story. They'll host a story, or they'll do the stuff that comes on Facebook is interesting. But they'll do information, and then they wonder why they get pushback. My brother Charles Rowe, he does good stories out here. He does stories about the black community, about ratchetness, about women making bad choices. Looks like he's doing something. But he does stories about everyone. But the bottom line is, you have to do the story. I mean, it's okay we got to put our opinions up and everything. But at the same time, we need to understand that everybody's ratchet, you know, in American society right now. Everybody's ratchet. This is American society. And so, you know, the solution to that is we have to start esteeming. Somebody just cut the sister out because this man killed this black woman. And we have to start esteeming righteousness, goodness. We can't keep esteeming negative viewpoints and evil people. And we have to separate ourselves. Get your kids out of that school. Train your children up. Find groups of people who carry the same value systems that you would carry. Link up with like-minded people. Like minds. This is the solutions. These are what we got to do, because it doesn't really matter now. It's all about choices. We're dealing with choices now. This is where it's ending up here. I had some recordings. I don't think I want to do that. Yeah, we have this Twitter Spaces, which is pretty good. Twitter Spaces
and in the
good.
60s, but we
got some good conversations on Twitter Spaces. Had a conversation with a brother out here in San Francisco that he was he's thinking about relocating because, you know, his mindset, his like mind is being basically punished out in the area where he's at. And I said the title of this space was Black B1 is code for power. Tribalism is code for beggars. Now, we can call things a tribe, we can name it whatever, but the bottom line is you don't want to have a mentality where blood lineage is the most important thing. You want to have the behavior, the thinking is the most important thing. And that's one of the good things about what the Bible says that the old Jesus told us. You know, your tribe is not necessarily what you were just born at. That's part of it. But as a man thinketh, that's what he is. So I'll play a little bit of that.
required to mix well in order to really dominate an area and make it correct. Because you need your soldier types, people who are willing to get out in the streets and actually, physically out of it.
So what I'm talking about here, we had a situation where, we got some black folks, some people are a little bit more refined. And this is a big problem in black communities too. This is the problem. What I believe that got us dominated. What keeps us up dominated? What's going on, Divide? Yeah, it's wild in Puerto Rico. Exactly. But yeah, and if you have Twitter, put in your Twitter. Let's see. I'm gonna put in my Twitter. Uh, because I would like to follow you on Spaces. I don't know. You said you were on. I think Spaces is the same thing as the other thing that's on Android or on Apple. What is that? It's just talking basically the same thing. Yeah, but it's not just Puerto Rico. It's like it's every community. If I go over to South Africa, we're gonna see crime. If I go in any other community, we're gonna see problems. We can't let the mainstream white media overly demonize black folks in America just and highlight our problems as if that equates to us all. Now, we should be working on our problems because your community problems are a source of weakness for your advancement. So we should always be working on our problems, and it takes the most intelligent people in our community to work on our problems. But at the same time, anybody could do this to any group of people. And what I was telling this brother is that we're always going to have that disconnect where you have the more refined members of a community, and then you have the more hot-headed members of a community, or we would call ghetto types. But both groups are needed.
A similar experience, and when I say we're all talking about FBA, and then of course if you're in various countries, then
I
you
just
have
speeded it up.
they have a similar experience, to their unique to their area, right? I do know for a fact that our people in the Caribbean and us in this country, we have a little closer, but they may not see it that way, because I know for a fact that when these the Spanish and these guys were coming over here, they were seeing the black tribes, the Algonquin and all these Native American tribes, but when like King Philip's War, I don't know if you heard about that. Yeah, if you check that history out, or King Philip's War, and then there's other wars that they would have with the indigenous tribes, because they would, of course, they come and be nice at first, but then they're trying to steal people, like that. And what ends up happening is that tribe, and then they send them down to the Caribbean to be broken. They get mixed in. They get mixed in with Africans. They get mixed in with whatever. They force them to have sex and produce babies, and then they'll bring. And in America, they brought a lot of the children back to this. That's why if you look up the history, you'll only see like they estimate only about 5% Africans came directly to the United States part. Most of them came to the Caribbean and South America. But that's just because they had the breeding farms. They had the breeding farms like in like Virginia and South Carolina, and most of the breeding farms were in the Bahamas and in the Caribbean islands. But they would keep the slaves and work them to death in South America and on a sugar plantation, the adults. But the children, they wanted to have their memories wiped clean, so they would bring them to the United States. Yeah, and so that's in the historical record. But the thing is, we were pretty much so. I think in America we were so kind of trained up, and we had to fight our way out of different things. And so what ends up happening is we're at different levels. Some of us are more refined temperaments, and some of us are a little bit more rough. I'll say it that way, and what we call ghetto. And what happens is we don't mix well. Even though we might be all FBA, we may not mix well. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, we may not mix well. And in the 60s, but we're required to mix well in order to really dominate an area and make it correct. Because you need your soldier types, people who are willing to get out in the streets and actually, physically, if necessary. But these people are not very good at developing a piece of land or property. And that's where the more refined type people, or the what they call the intellectual type. But what happened in the 60s, we know that it just was easier for the intellectual types to, because the hood, I should say, was so dangerous. And of course, they had the money because they had the talent and they had the expertise. They would leave the areas where black
We're about to end this
numerically
off.
dominated, because they didn't see the vision. They didn't understand that you had to go through a little bit of a period of darkness before you can make it your own. And I'm
I
hoping
want to
what
get to
happens.
the part where his brother talked.
I wasn't thinking about that at
There
the
it is.
time.
We're
working in the Tenderloin area, and south of Market. We're working in Tenderloin and south of Market area, and there's a lot of Black Americans that are homeless in those areas. And we're working social services.
horrible, boy. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so we're working social services, and a lot of times you want to build rapport, and so the person that we hired was a frontline position. He's going to be out there in the community, and so even thinking back now, I'm like, I don't see what the problem is. Even if I did hire him because he was Black, I have a department that's 20, and there's only 3 Black men, and most of our population that we're serving is Black men. You know what I mean? In my opinion, that you want somebody to build rapport. But I wasn't thinking about that at the time.
Right. But you've seen it. But you've seen it. I've seen it in it because I did work in San Francisco for about a year and a half, and that's where I really noticed the effect of the racism, because it's not overt there. Yeah, just like you said. Yeah, they it's just like you said. You just get a consequence, basically.
You definitely.
Yeah, you just pretty much get a consequence, and you just kind of put 2 and 2 together yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And San Francisco used to have a real, the Bay Area for California, and it's probably the same as other cities that people left for the Great Migration. The Bay Area used to have a lot of well-paying ship jobs, like working in the shipyards, working on in defense and stuff. So a lot of people who would get out of the military after World War II, they would come to California and work in these areas. And so there was a time where I felt like the Bay Area thrived for Black American culture. I remember there used to be this show, what was it, like Mr. Cooper. You remember that show?
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was San Francisco. It had Raven Simone on it, and Holly Robinson Pete. I believe she was the wife, something like that.
Yeah, she was in. Yeah, that was in Oakland. It was in Oakland.
Okay.
So Oakland to me has always kind of had it used to be, like a black Mecca, especially on the West Coast,
Right.
and parts of LA too, right? When we think about Black American culture, I feel like we used to have some things that kind of, that came out of the West Coast too, even though you don't think of the West Coast as being that way. But not anymore. It seems to be kind of like we're done here. It seems like we need to, in my opinion, exit.
I think when I first came here to California, and like I said, I came from Georgia. Well, actually, I do travel. I'm a tradesman, but I'm getting my license here in California anyway, because I guess I'm making money here. So I'm buying stuff everywhere else, but I keep visiting home. But I'm like, I might as well just stay here while this money is good here. But the thing is, when I first came here,
Twitter Spaces is pretty good. I think a lot of rational voices should go over there, because we got a lot of negative talk over there, insane people, and I think that's where we're going to end it off. If anybody wants to come up or say anything or talk or have any questions, of course, go ahead. Drop. You can come on up, the link. If not, that's the main message. You know, I can't talk about certain things on this YouTube here. This is pretty good. Since the Seminoles is trending, here's an old photograph showing what Seminoles actually look like. Yeah, black Seminoles, definitely. It's very important to learn the history of a group of people when you're dealing with them. Otherwise, you won't be able to handle their irritation when they act ignorantly. You won't have patience with them. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much all. I just wanted to, put out that message. We are in a process of development. We got to develop ourselves. We got to develop the folks around us, develop our families. And then at the same time, it's good to go out there and help develop your community. And you can do that just as easy. Sometimes, at least you can begin that process or participate in that process just as easy as coming onto some of these spaces, social media, and just representing intelligence. Just representing intelligence, because we have a global platform now. The world is much smaller than it was way back in the day, and so, eventually this is going to accelerate the process of human development. So some of the arguments are good, but at the same time, our group is being poisoned all around the world. They're making it seem as if we're just all ignorant, especially here in America. They're putting up the most dysfunctional members of our communities. And then they're making that the face of our communities. And we gotta push back against that. But at the same time, we can't infight too much. So that's pretty much it. And peace out, everybody.